Sandstorm can sustain you in farm, and I guess if you do go for that lane on Sand King, you just focus in on, farming your creep wave, farming the small camp, build up, and play greedier, not something that contests the storm all too much. Could be one way for to go for MindGames, because offlane CK has a lot of utility. There's the Tiny we talked about, left in the pool, straight pickup for TSpirit. Why not? It worked in their last series. Just go back to it. It's Tiny. You get your Moon Shard, you're done. It's pretty much almost over by then. It just feels like when you're playing against this hero. So that's one way to get it done. The CK versus Tiny matchup down the line is, it's not the worst, it's not the best for CK. You do have inbuilt minus armor, so you can kind of take away some of that EHP. But Tiny has cleave, Tiny has AoE stuns. He can just kind of stop your Phantasm Illusions from doing a lot by cleaving all of them away. CK does get extra durable, but Tiny has a lot of damage. So it's a back and forth one. It really depends on who has a bigger item advantage. And I like this shakeup from TSpirit. Going for the Rubik. Lots of great spells to steal here, Mike. They could just steal Enchant if they wanted to, and you get your own free Harpy without having to buy the Dominator. So a lot of great spells. Even the CK spells are really good. Like, taking the Chaos Bolt on a Rubik with all that cast range, taking Reality Rift if you have follow-up, it can be really big in breaking these fights open.
Yeah, I love the idea you had as well to take Enchant away and just take a Harpy Scout for yourself. That is a legitimate strat if you are a Rubik player, I suppose. But I believe TSpirit naturally are going for the Rubik into the Sand King. Naturally, you want to take Burrow Strike away, or even into the DP. Maybe you get Exorcism, maybe you get a few Spirit Siphons, maybe even the Silence. As a Rubik player myself, John, stealing Crypt Swarm is very, very nice because you just clear creep waves like a madman. But yeah, I think the Burrow Strike is going to be the main point of taking the Rubik here. But I would love to see some enchant plays with the Harpy Scout. That always makes me so happy. As we are going to have to wait out these final ban-outs, John, before we do get to go on with our drafts. You'll see the Axe being banned out here from MindGames. I guess against the CK, you'd rather not have to play against Axe if you can avoid it. TSpirit, Undying removed. What else do we want to see?
They seem to be assuming that either DP's mid or the Sand King's mid. So they feel like they already see their mid matchup, just taking care of supports, looking at the offlane Sand King and something to fill for 4-5, which gives you a lot of confidence. Like, you already know what you potentially deal with for the Storm. You don't have to worry about wonky matchups. So you take care of these things that lock in your Storm. Like, Grimstroke would have been big. Again, that combination with Sand King CK is really nice. Gives you a nice silence to stop the Storm initially and follow through with a DP. Now holding down that Storm is a little bit tougher. DP silence is great, but it's a projectile. That's something the Storm can dodge. You have to kind of set up with, say, your Sand King or CK, not always the ideal, and trying to catch a Storm out, depending on the vision game. So MindGames has to execute to a pretty high level to kind of catch Toronto Tokyo here. And again, just considering what happened yesterday, there's a lot to improve on that execution front. And they've had a day, they've had a chance to watch TSpirit, they've had a chance to do their research and make adjustments. Not much time, but that time has been there. So we'll see if that improvement comes through. For TSpirit's part, a lot of collapse heroes gone. I would say Doom comes out. I was going to say they might have tried to experiment with, say, the Magnus again, but they go for the Doom, and it's a pretty decent Doom game. If you can get the jump in the CK, stop him from Phantasm, jump on top of the DP, stop the Exorcism, jump on any of these cores, it just feels great as Doom. It might be a little bit greedy. You've got Tiny, Storm, and Doom kind of farming up. Doom, especially working towards the Midas, tends to take a long time to come online, having to wait for Midas Blink BKB. But if you can kind of stall here with your Storm, he can be the playmaker. As we mentioned, it only needs double null, and you have the Kotl. He can cause a lot of havoc on the map early to enable the Tiny and Doom to go online.
Yeah, it's not going to be that easy to take towers, especially against that Keeper of the Light. You just spam Illuminate over and over again, and chances are you're not going to have a creep wave to be able to push with. MindGames, final pickup now. Seems like they do need a position 4 or 5. It's a matter of whether they want to combo something with the Sand King in the off lane, or whether they want something to combo with the CK in the safe lane. Unless the DP support is what's happening here from MindGames. I suppose you never know. Few MindGames going on in this draft. Excuse the terrible pun. It's MindGames. They have 50 seconds to think about it, so they'll take their time. And against TSpirit, you've got to be very wary. I mean, obviously, they've got a draft that they're going to feel very comfortable with We just saw them literally in the last game run this Coddle Storm and Tiny kind of draft, and you know, sure, you've got two different heroes in the Rubik Doom, but I don't think that really matters so much. I think that the Tiny Storm's going to be already kind of busted here for TeamSpirit, and the Rubik and Doom, they're just kind of like additions. They're just on the side. They're the cherry on top, you know?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, it just sweetens the deal here for TeamSpirit. They do go with the Disruptor, so they will run looking like our DP mid for Einkrad, and that does tie into their team fight. Gives them good hold against the Storm. Drop Static Storm, drop the Kinetic Field. Good way of starting these fights. Lots of follow-through from Sand King. Einkrad is actually taking the Sand King mid, it looks like. So we'll see. Again, the matchup against Storm isn't the worst. You can just focus on farm, focus on playing around Sandstorm, playing your small camp, and just get that fast blink or trap. We've seen Sand Kings hit ridiculously fast blinks from the mid and just get active by level 6, level 7. I think that's what we've got to see here from MindGames, and it's a good shakeup, you know, comparing to their drafts from yesterday. This does look like a solid improvement. They've got a great core to build on. They've got good momentum from their 4 heroes. I can't help but be biased towards TeamSpirit just on draft here, Mike, just because they got Coddle and Storm again. And they just mentioned it. Toronto Tokyo said it in his interview. They're just going to keep running this because it's so fun and it's so easy. You just get topped up, double, triple, null, and that's it.
That it certainly is, John. Fun thing is as well, I don't believe... Now, I can't say for sure, but I don't believe there's going to be any kind of patch coming in before the major comes along as well. So, I mean, there could be a very small sub-patch to come in, but it doesn't feel like there's going to be much time for it. So this is the meta that we're going to be expecting going into the major, which in some ways is quite exciting, right? Because you and I have had the pleasure of doing multiple regions. And while there are those, you know, really strong picks like Tiny, like Deucer, like DP, everyone's got their own ideas as to what the kind of, I don't know how to say it, the other kind of steps are to the draft, right? Like the other heroes that you're going to kind of combo with in a sense. So very, very exciting stuff going into the major. Still, game number 1 between TeamSpirit and MindGames is set to get underway very, very soon. You've already told me you seem to like the TeamSpirit draft, so I'll go with that, Jonathan. I'm not going to ask you the hard question. But while we are waiting, I just want to tell you, I couldn't help but notice when we went in, chat was obviously spamming bat chest once again because you're the leader. You're the bat chest leader, Jonathan. So you get all the love. And there I was staring at chat, waiting for somebody to mention me. And I thought I saw Loveheart saying, "Mike, I love you." And then looking back for the 4th time, I realized they actually said, "Mirror, I love you." So I was like, well, that's amazing. Not one comment, John. Not one comment.
Hey, Mike, we're not the stars here. It's the teams that matter, as we do have our flyby cam again. What? I'm not a star, Mike. No, Mike.
Yes,
no,
you are.
No. Just people dig the glasses, Mike. That's all it is. But the teams are the real centers. We're just here to tell a story. You know, we're just here to talk. And, you know, maybe at some point, hey, maybe when you shave that beard, you know, people react to that. Maybe you need to do that, Mike. Get on it.
Spoiler alert, Jonathan. I was going to talk about it later. Right? You don't need to give the viewers an indication as to what's going on. People get very upset when they hear the beard's going. It's MindGames. They're going to group up as 5. TeamSpirit will do the same, though Mirror, he's going to go for a bit of a run, and he's out of position. He's trying to get a T-ward off, but it looks like he may have sacrificed himself to the First Blood gods. If they can get him, that is. Keeper of the Light, 330 movement speed at level 1, and it turns out they can't catch him. The old man, he moves quite fast.
He is on a horse, Mike, and that does speed you up quite a fair bit. Does dodge out. It's still in a pretty risky spot here, though.
There is a fight going on towards the south, though. Patushara, he got the Spirit Siphons going, but it's only one at the moment as Yatoro and Maposhka going to try and chase a little bit more. Plenty of damage to fly out onto this offlane DP. Looks like he's going to be fine. And in the meantime, of course, the Keeper of the Light as well. Just going to TP right out. Bignum doesn't have any stunts to throw out as the Ench. It's Maposhka getting even more damage into the offlane of MindGames. And we should have a look at the mid lane first, I suppose. Toronto, Tokyo, and Einkrad on the Sand King and the Storm Spirit. You weren't quite expecting the CK to be, rather the SK to be mid. Neither was I, John. But how does the matchup work against the Storm?
It's not the best for Sand King. Like, level 1, you play with Caustic, you really just focus in on those creeps. You can't really harass the Storm, and Storm has a great time to be aggressive. Level 3 is a big spike melee hero. Not that durable on Sand King. It's not like he has overwhelming amounts of strength or armor or HP regen. So you can always go for the double Overload, Vortex, Static Remnant play.
This was a useless
And for Einkrad, the good thing about the Sand King is it does farm really quick. So, again, shove in the wave, play with your small camp down the line. They have... Ooh.
Yeah, Mirror ends up going down top lane. First blood already achieved here from MindGames, and it's not something I was quite expecting, but Mirror, a little bit out of position, does get punished.
Yeah, it's one thing you have to respect from the side of MindGames. You do have a lot of aggression that can come out from the CK. Doom doesn't really contribute too much to that lane, so Kotl Doom just really is very passive, and that's punishable with just having CK in lane. You just have the mana, you run in.
Yeah, Dino, he hits like an absolute truck already. Collapse, in trouble, gonna try to run. Will stick charge up, but he's trapped up in the kinetic field, and eventually Dino gonna be able to secure the killers now. Maybe they even go back in onto Mirror. This time Slayer didn't have any spells to throw out, so they do back off. But it's just one of the things against the safe lane CK, John. It's already hitting for roughly 79 base damage on average. That you can't scoff at that.
Yeah, it's even worse than that. Like, it can be as low as 64 or up to 94 at this point. So, if you get a lucky roll, you just kill people down. You don't even have the crit up yet, still stuck at level 2. Value point does come through once you level up to 3. And that's a great start here for MindGames, just having that aggressive top lane. Taking a look at that bot again here with Patushra. You do have level 2 up, so you've got the crit storm to control lane. It's been pretty good for Yatoro. Enchant creep is annoying though.
Poshka almost going down. They couldn't get the final Arc Lightning off onto the Rubik. Does seem like both side lanes right now pretty tough for Yatoro. A nice toss back there with Maposhka. And it's just going to be so much damage being thrown out. Luckily for Patushra though, John, they've got a Hill Troll Priest. So the hills are coming.
I like that I'm kind of sad that they changed the Hill Troll Priest from, you know, that constant like 0.1 second heal of like 5 HP into a big heal now. I mean, it's better. It's also less memey. It still is a lot of sustaino. Patushra just comes back to full. And again, he's managing his lane well enough. The Tiny is still finding farm, but not as much as he'd want. It's not complete free farm here for Yatoro. You have to respect that repositioning play though.
Yeah, top lane though. The CK now, Dino, going to be chased down. Looks like he'll be just fine. Into that tree line. And problem is, though, Slayer doesn't have a salve for the CK right now, so it does feel like Dino going to be kind of stuck in this lane with very low HP as the Illuminate is going to fly through, and the Arc Lightning is there. Or Chain Lightning, rather, but whatever you want to call it. TSpirit just being very annoying from a mile away.
This is actually ridiculous. You can chain lightning twice in a row because of chakra. So hey, that's just free damage coming out every single time. And that cast range is ridiculous for Collapse as well. So they've found a grip on that offlane. They're starting to slow down that CK. And that's really all you want. Slow down that early momentum of the CK, prevent that fast build-up into the Armlet, start to work towards your own build-up into the Midas, and as long as you manage that fairly well, you have a good foundation there. Like, you're not allowing the side of MindGames to rotate their Disruptor. 4-minute mark, no one contests Rune. And that does lead to, again, equal farming for Toronto, Tokyo, and Einkrad. And that, again, your Storm doesn't need much in comparison to, say, Sand King. Sand King's going to need Blink, Travel, it's BKB, and the like. Whereas Storm, double null, power treads, all you really want, and Toronto, Tokyo is kind of set to get that timing and just set the momentum for his team if he's left uncontested like this.
Slipped up on the Hellbear Smasher, but Yatoro, still in big trouble, is going to drop Bignum. A very nice rotation from the Ancient. You know, you've got to give MindGames credit, John. They're very good during the laning stage. Like, they tend to win out majority of their lanes most of the time. With the Ent rotation, Bignum able to set up once again.
Just have that presence, slow down the Tiny, prevent that massive build-up. Still a rather even game with a 3-kill lead, a 2-kill lead here on MindGames, 1 kill on TSpirit, less than 1k their side, most of that in the Sand King. So despite finding some of these side lane kills, their side lanes aren't farming particularly fast. You can be happy that your CK is having a slightly better time than Tiny, but it's not like it's a great time overall. And a CK farm up against Tiny farm, It's back and forth. You can play with Phantasm, but the Tiny still has a better time that jungle overall with the tree grab. So the recovery is still set to be faster for Yatoro as long as he has that area to play in.
Mid lane, look at this, Jonathan. The Dark Troll Summoner with the Siege Creep available. This is when things get very fun. Balanced Cam is live here, John. Bignum, he'll stick around. I mean, you can just keep spawning the Skellies. Maposhka, he's going to rotate as Toronto Tokyo will zip through. There's a stun out. They'll go for the Vortex though onto Ankratis. He'll go for an Epicenter. Toronto is going to back off, but a nice lift up. Maposhka not going to allow the Epicenter to finish. Problem is though, the Dark Troll Summoner is still going. Eventually will die, but look at the damage that's been dealt.
Yikes. 223 HP left in Tier 1 inside of MindGames forces a lot of rotations just for that defense. And a good spot to fight here if they want to.
And Bignum, he's going to be targeted. Toronto, a little bit low on mana, but they should have enough damage to surely get rid of Bignum. Though Toronto, he's the one being hunted down. Ainkrad is going to show up. Burrow Strike is out. They will secure the Storm kill. And that's massive for MindGames as they go for a bit more now. Maposhka is going to try to juke them out. Yatoro, he's going to show up. They'll go after Bignum. They'll be able to take him down as Slayer. He'll keep trying to go after Maposhka, but it seems like the support duo is going to get punished here on MindGames. They go a little bit too far and just not respecting that Yatoro could just rotate.
Yeah, but they still lose a lot of objectives here from TSpirit. Bot Tier 1 falls to the level 6 coming through from Petushara, and the mid just falls to the creep wave. So you open up the map here on MindGames, you sacrifice a couple of supports, you do find that kill on the Storm. And Toronto Tokyo is still set to have his triple null done in a relatively quick time, so it's not the biggest impact on him. But having the map open up gives MindGames a lot of room. They can just invade a bot jungle, cut off that flash farm we talked about for Yatoro, and slow down the Tiny's build-up. Yeah, and the side of TSpirit does have a slightly greedier draft with the Doom Tiny duo. Both of these heroes are just going to focus in on getting some initial items up first. And this is the period where MindGames can really start to push against that. Just prevent that build-up, prevent the map space from being taken. Top is going to be shoved in by TSpirit just a bit. You even have Toronto Tokyo just farm the small camp. No response from MindGames. They understand what they have to do. Just keep playing bot. Just take away this entire side of the map and force Yatoro to maybe walk across the river if he really wants to keep this flash farm going.
Mira trying to fight over that illusion rune is going to get caught out, and Dino is going to make a decent rotation in, and he will secure the kill. Very nice from the CK. He's coming in for a quick bit of gold. Gonna go right back into the jungle after that. I'll tell you what, John, MindGames so far so good. 3-5 with a very slight net worth lead on their side of things, and of course, with this style of draft, you do have a very strong mid-game timing. You've seen how fast the objectives melt already. Once you hit that 15-20 minute mark, though, they are good to go as 5. And if TSpirit, if they're not ready for it, they fall too behind in net worth, it could become a real disaster for them for this game 1.
It can slip away faster and faster for TSpirit if they don't hold up against this massive mid-game surge from the side of MindGames. Like they're set to have these really quick items coming up, Mike. BKB for Petushara being built up. Sand King already has the blink up. Einkrad's going to be able to initiate for the team, catch the Storm out every single time. Lots of pressure on him to really get that big target, but we've seen MindGames deliver the goods here. They're able to work their angles. We're seeing way better communication coming out. And he's doing a great job of just hiding that blink. He actually clears out the creep wave, micros the blink into the tree line, gets his courier to pick it up. So they're really trying to be sneaky with this reveal here on MindGames.
Oh, you can appreciate that. Hey, you definitely want to try and secure a big kill with that blink up now on Ainkrad. See what he can find. Maybe a smoke to be popped here from the Disruptor. Slayer, go ahead and use one on Ainkrad. And well, the question is now, who can they find? Be pretty easy to take someone out with the Epicenter Burrow Strike combination. You've got Maposhka showing up for the 10-minute power rune, but that's not the target you want. You'd much rather Toronto Tokyo if you can. And Slayer does have the Static Storm available, so it's Toronto. He could be in big trouble. They're going to move in with the Epicenter. Perfectly timed with the vision out. They've got plenty of it. The Storm, though, is still alive. Toronto,
What?
He's going to zip out. How does he make that one work? Maposhka, he'll be the sacrifice, but somehow they miss out on the primary target.
Yeah, that's just ridiculous. Toronto Tokyo lives through the damage. They didn't have enough output. That's the blink reveal from Einkrad. That's 2 big ults being dropped here by MindGames. Not the longest cooldowns in the world. at least on Static Storm, so they'll still have something to play with in a minute. But all these movements out from MindGames now are starting to give that space TSpirit needs. Collapse is just working top. You can see that again here. Static Storm, Epicenter, everything dropping. Just a bit of that healing. The Kotl healing coming through at the end there. Spirit Form up, Illuminate through the wave. Just enough to keep Toronto Tokyo alive. And again, we saw that in the last series. He's barely to slip by thanks to Mira on that Kotl every single time.
Well, they need to be able to survive every kind of onslaught here from MindGames, John. They are still very far behind in terms of net worth here, at least for their cores. The only core that's really escalating is going to be the Doom and Collapse. And well, you kind of already talked about this during the drafting phase, but this 3-core lineup of TSpirit, it can get quite greedy. And Collapse, he might kind of have to carry the team for a little bit here on this Doom. He does join them now, but it does seem like he might want to have the blink up before they move, but no. They're going to 4-man smoke anyway. He was just about 300 gold away from the blink, but they're going to try and move in and catch themselves a target. Dyna's showing mid lane. They're going to ignore him and head down bot instead. Ward's place, they'll see Bignum, but that's not the target they want. Instead, Patushra, he's a much better target to jump on. And there you go, they're in. Vortex out, Doom being committed. They'll secure the kill very easily. Toronto Tokyo will be the one to take it. But now with Doom down, once his DP's back up, you do have Exorcism. It might be time to move for MindGames.
We've still got a smoke here with Einkrad and with Slayer, but not really able to find the angle, have to work their way up high ground. So TSpirit should be safe. And for TSpirit's part, you do have that blink ready and Collapse off the back of that kill. BKB next. I think most of the momentum really has to actually come out from Toronto Tokyo. He's been doing a stellar job with a triple null and power treads. And expected outcome when you have Storm Kotl. Just run around the map, you don't need much more. You set the aggression for your team, and they've just bought so much space for that Doom. Patushra, he heads back bot. You don't have the backup this time in TSpirit, but they are hanging around the area here.
But they are. Patushra be fine for now.
Ooh, mid! Damn!
Oh boy, yeah. They missed the Static Storm. Not sure how they juked that out, John. Did you tend to see what happened?
Just the blink. Really
Just the
quick
blink.
blink from Collapse. Just dodges it out, and that's a big tool if the team fights again gone from MindGames. They're still in a position to try here.
Yeah, bot lane, they're going to try. Epicenter is there. Toronto Tokyo will be the target. The healer is out. Can he survive? Not quite. Einkrad, he'll have enough damage on the Sand King this time around. That's a very good target for MindGames to be able to pick up, as they might even find Mira, who's still hanging around in the tree line, but it does seem like he's going to be fine to get himself out. MindGames trying to really push their advantage here. 13.5 minutes in. Yeah, the only concern right now is the fact that Collapse is top net worth. But that is kind of to be expected here on the Doom. MindGames should have an opportunity to try and get some objectives down very, very soon. TSpirit in the meantime, again, just back to the farming game.
I don't think it's all too bad for TSpirit, actually. 2k lead for MindGames. It's not enough to have significant item advantages on any of their cores. Well, for the Storm, it just means you're also hitting your BKB slightly faster with a blink. I think for MindGames, we've got to see more of that aggression lineup. We have to see the kills translate into objectives. Again, perhaps now with the Exorcism on standby for Patushra, they could look to force something bot. There has been really good wards here from TSpirit. They've been watching that entrance really well. And they've just dragged their cores elsewhere. Yatoro and Collapse have been playing top. No one to contest them while they're all solo. So MindGames not able to punish that greed just yet. And once you do see some of these initial BKBs come out from TSpirit, your response here from MindGames is going to take a while. That's like Ags on Slayer on the Disruptor Pause 5. Not something he can build up all too quickly. So that spell means he's going to be a big factor in TSpirit starting to take more of that aggressive role here if MindGames isn't careful about this timing.
No, certainly so, John. You know, I want to give credit to Bignum, though. Like, on this end, he's been doing a really good job of just kind of abusing. In fact, hold that thought, because I may have just jinxed him, John. Toronto Tokyo, he'll make the jump in. Bignum, he's quite a tanky target with the Untouchable. They aren't going to have enough damage. So he's going to be alright. In fact, MindGames, they do team up. In we go, onto Mira. They found the Keeper of the Light, but they aren't going to have enough damage for him. Mira will be fine by the T2 tower to retreat. But back to the point I was trying to make. You just notice how Yatoro is just farming a lot slower than we're used to seeing him farm. Bignum's been following him around the map pretty much the whole time, forcing Yatoro to go into the triangle a bit earlier than he'd like to. I do appreciate a great inch play like that. Like Bignum, his sole focus seems to be not allowing Yatoro to be in that Radiant side jungle. And he did just get his Moonshard. He is still farming, but he has been slowed down for quite a bit.
It's a nice gap with CK and Tiny, 800 gold, but again, it doesn't translate to any major items. Like, the fact that MindGames can't use that 800 gold advantage on CK means that Yatoro is fine being slightly behind, because his item spikes feel much more impactful. Going for the BKB next after that Moon Shard. I could use the Ag Shard as well down the line if you'd want that. And again, for MindGames, this lineup is supposed to be strong here. You mentioned it. They have a really good mid-game spike, Mike. They've got that BKB on Patushara. You know, they've got the Travel's Blink up on Einkrad, so they can show up everywhere. They have to show up everywhere. They have to force these fights. And every time they're just sitting back in their own jungle or running around a bot jungle under that ward, which is why they managed to back off in TSpirit, this is just time where you're really losing out. You're not losing the farm game, but you're losing out in your power spike. And they will go for that smoke play now, so hoping for the best for MindGames. If they find a good catch, this should open up an objective.
Oh, the Posh guy, he's going to break the smoke. That is not the target you wanted as MindGames, but you'll be forced to take it. They might try for Roshan, though. They have Exorcism up. They can certainly get the damage output for this Roshan. TSpirit, you do have the potential to steal that Aegis away with your Storm, but Toronto, Tokyo, he's nowhere nearby. So it doesn't seem like they're going to be able to make the jump in. In fact, you've got to even ask yourself if they even know what's happening.
I mean, they don't have vision, but I think they're aware. You know, they kind of back off from the Roche pit. We saw Collapse just back off from the camps, knowing that there's potential to jump him, and they surrender that Roche. Aegis up on Dino, 2 lives up in the CK, working towards that blink. Once you have that follow-up stun or, you know, additional stun to catch out these slipperier heroes on TSpirit, it starts to feel better. They're hitting those spikes. They are holding on to their advantage. TSpirit for their part, again, they're still getting the greed working here, Mike. BKB for Collapse only about 200-300 gold away. And once that Doom has Blink BKB up, he's going to be showing up. You know, he has the follow tree. He's got the tools to deal with the heroes on MindGames, and I believe Toronto Tokyo has his full BKB up as well. So that we're hitting critical mass for TSpirit where, yeah, MindGames were finding some early pickoffs, not in the biggest targets in the world, and they just haven't established that net worth lead where you'd feel confident in them really overtaking the map by the 25-minute mark. It's still rather close enough that TSpirit, with these BKBs, just feel a lot stronger coming into this now.
No, I certainly agree with that. Like, do you feel like MindGames are playing a little bit too conservative? Like, was there a moment where you think they could have really just taken the advantage and they just kind of sat back and relaxed a little bit too much?
Yeah, like, the moment they took this bot jungle control, when they took the mid-tier 1 and bot tier 1, the bot jungle should have been theirs. But they were splitting up, playing top jungle, you know, kind of just having the Ench play down here, not looking for kills in the area to punish. And that's when it felt like they slowed down.
And they've got Patushara. Doom is out. They want to make sure this DP cannot do anything in this team fight, as they will chase him down, and eventually the DP will die out. They do take him, but now the epicenter, Aincrad, going to come in onto Collapse, but he's a bit too tanky. In the meantime, Toronto Tokyo, he does die to Bignum. It's a big kill for MindGames. They even found Collapse. That's what you wanted. They got the Doom down.
You did your best.
And that's more like it for MindGames. That's something you were just talking about, John. You want to see them get aggressive.
Yeah, and they find the big targets. They force a long chase on Patushara. The DP doesn't die too fast with that BKB. Yeah, he gets doomed up, doesn't get to use any of his Spirit Siphons, no silence coming through, but we saw a lot of mana being wasted there on Toronto Tokyo. We saw a prolonged chase out from Collapse, and it just allowed the rest of MindGames to work the backline. Get a nice follow-through from Aincrad when the BKBs faded. I think TSpirit's got to find bigger targets for their own BKB use. Ideally, they need to know where the Sand King's at. Like, if he does come in when the BKBs fade, that Burrow Strike Epicenter with the Sandstorm top is still a lot of damage at this point. And you do have the double BKBs in 2 of your cores. Yatoro still doesn't have his own. So our Tiny's not ready to help out in these fights, and that is a lack of damage on the side of TSpirit. It's just forced to jump when they're smoke broken, not finding the target they'd want. MindGames still finding more if they want to.
Yeah, they've got Mirror down a pot lane. It's not going to take them too long. Bignum will take another kill for himself in the Ench. Tips out from Mirror. I mean, why the hell not? Bignum, again, I think he's been doing a great job. Real standout job here for the Ench this game. This bottom tier 2 tower is going to be under siege. It'll be gone very, very quickly. They'll be able to take the outpost. In the meantime, Aincrad was being jumped by Toronto Tokyo, but seems like he's going to be just fine. Just pops the Sandstorm. They don't have detection. They could never really take him out. And with that, once again, TSpirit on the back foot. Just as long as you've got your Toro hitting creeps, you're still happy. Certainly does need that BKB up before they can really get moving as a unit, though.
It's almost there. Just have to wait about 1,000 gold, so still need to stall for time here in TSpirit. The lead has been growing for MindGames. And again, with a tier 2 taken, it feels a lot stronger for them. Bot jungle's now firmly in their control. They've got 2 wards watching the area. They can just prevent that build-up, force the Yatoro to cross the river to farm top. They already have a nice ward there from TSpirit to enable that movement. But it's at this point where you want to see MindGames constantly move around, and they will go for another smoke play. Again, they know they feel strong. They've got to find more while they're at their peak here.
They've got all their spells available. You see Bignum in the mid lane trying to bait right now as Dino. He's going to have his smoke broken, but an immediate blink in. They'll find Maposhka. They'll get a nice glimpse off. They'll at least find a second support. But the smoke is not all too bad here for MindGames, and perhaps they can even move into that mid-tier 2 tower.
I mean, you've got Exo ready to go. They're not going to commit it. Fortify is still out. But it's not going to take too long for them to siege. They can cut off the creep wave, have their own creeps come in, and just start to focus in. Top is still a really good spot for TSpirit. Tier 1, Tier 2 stand, so they can't, you know, just clean up all 3 lanes. Just a little bit of map control left for TSpirit. And they are working up here. I like the itemization on Collapse. He was going for the shard. I'm not sure if that's flying out now or if he even wants it anymore, but that HP % damage is going to be big on something like Dino. So that's one way to handle the CK and his absurd EHP.
Oh, nice blink away. Yatoro, he's going to try and do the same. Aincrad, he's not going to see him, but they've got the Doom. It's not quite as good as the Tiny, but, well, actually it may be, John. Collapse, he is still higher net worth than the Tiny is, so they will take him down, and MindGames should be very satisfied with that. It is still going to give enough time, though. Yatoro just about to have the blink up, and now we'll have it available. Tushra, go for a blink in, but won't find the Tiny. Now with the BKB, this is around that time that you've been talking about, where TSpirit, they may need to get together and try to really abuse this timing.
Yeah, they've got to find a little bit more. Their Tiny is at a really good point for the damage output. You can handle the Phantasm illusions fairly well. You've got max level grow. You've got the armor to sit through the CK hits for now, as it is pretty strong. The Reality Rift -7 doesn't put too much of a dent on Tiny, so it's still manageable. I think the big thing that the side of MindGames does have is a bit of an ace up is their BKB on Aincrad. And his positioning in this game on the Sand King, his decisions when to come in, has been really strong. He waits for the BKBs to fade. He jumps in that moment of vulnerability from TSpirit and gets work done. If TSpirit don't find that good jump and instant burst, that Sand King will have that window open, and that turnaround for MindGames is always there if they're not careful.
TSpirit, they are grouped up as 5. They might go for the smoke right now. There is going to be the counter here as they are going to fight over this 24-minute power rune, and it's going to be a double damage. Bignum going to protect it. Toronto, he'll move in, but Bignum did already pick it up. Immediate voice line out. But it seems like MindGames, they don't want to try and go for the fight. TSpirit, on the other hand, Jonathan, they'll go for a 5-man smoker. Into the Dire Jungle they go. MindGames, see if they stick around that area. In fact, never mind, TSpirit. It doesn't seem like they're actually going to go for the fight either.
I think they expected some aggression from MindGames trying to invade their jungle. Instead, MindGames reads it well, holds back after that zip in and out from the storm. They know that the storm has backup hanging around nearby. They might catch a straggler here if they do want to go onto Bignum, but not the biggest target in the world, and they don't force the issue. So just back to playing a little bit of a slower game. MindGames building up that lead now, like 6k up. A lot of that is mainly riding on Dino. Like, the other 2 cores have started to fall behind. Yatoro and Collapse are taking over. Toronto hasn't been giving as much space, but it's the same point for the Storm. You really don't need too much gold anyway. Probably wants a little bit more EXP on Toronto Tokyo, though. Would want to hit some of his higher leveled spikes and maybe start working towards the Yags, but beyond that, the right heroes are getting gold here, and TSpirit will try to smoke once more. They don't have the most aggressive wards here. Pretty defensive vision from TSpirit. They just need one.
Well, they're going to go after Bignum. again, it's not the biggest kill in the world, but it seems like TSpirit, it's the only one they can see on the map right now. They'll take it. In fact, there's a Doom out. Who have they got? It's going to be Petushra. Collapse. He goes his own way and he finds another. TSpirit. This is more like the TSpirit we know, Jonathan. Starting to really move out now. Should be able to take a very quick mid-tier 1 tower if they want it. But they are still quite hesitant, but eventually move in and try to make the move. I suppose they are quite afraid of where Dino is and what this CK wants to do. Dino is a very tanky boy right now with that hard up, and once the armlet is active, 4.4k HP pool. Pretty darn high, even for the tiny.
Yep. Really is quite high, but you have a good answer to that with the Doom although.
Slayer. Yeah, he's going to go down. They even know where the wards are here for MindGames, so some quick D wards to come out from a Poshka. Seems like once again, TSpirit, they are more than ready to start moving as a unit. And MindGames, it feels like they're not the ones to be able to slow down either, John. Like, you are still very strong with your own draft. You look at the CK once again, he is a very tanky boy. I don't know if they should really be playing the conservative game here against TSpirit.
I don't think they should. I mean, late game CK is still a beast, but you have a lot of AoE control, you have a lot of AoE clear from the side of TSpirit to handle those Phantasm illusions to an extent. Roshan is up, TSpirit's in a really good position to go for it, and they do spot it out when the Illuminate's coming through. Might want to kill first before going there.
Aincrad, he's going to play around with them. Collapse. Going to BKB up himself just to make sure he can get out. Fair enough. You've got to do what you got to do. MindGames, they were around, willing to go for the fight, and they may still. No. Go. 5-man smoke up instead, and it's about the rotation into the Radiant Triangle. Roshan is available, and that's going to be a huge objective for either side right now. Much more important for TSpirit to not allow MindGames to take it, though, considering the position they're in. MindGames getting around that mid lane, hoping someone's going to show up to take that creep wave. TSpirit reading the map very nicely, though, are going to hang around in that triangle, and they'll just play very patiently. They'll even give up the high ground and move into the low ground. Slayer is going to be able to spot out at least Toronto Tokyo, but he'll zip in with the BKB up. The Disruptor should be able to drop, and does. He's trying to get some wards out, but it does cost him his own life. And MindGames, they don't seem to want to play with the Disruptor down. Instead, they'll force Roshan.
It's big, but they lack the Static Storm to follow through with a Sand King if they do get caught out here. TSpirit, with their own smoke, they do walk by the pit. The push for smoke's dropped, so they know what's happening here.
Now they do. Roshan dropping very low. There's no buyback available from the Disruptor yet either. Doom is there. There's your buyback. Oh. A big Burrow Strike. Then the Poshka. He landed a 3-man stun out. And now MindGames, they are just getting ripped a new one as Yatoro. So much damage. What a stun in from the Rubik. And into the Roshan they go as Dino.
Oh,
he's still trying to contest. Toronto, he'll make his way out. Dino, still just trying to run. Does really not want to die right now. He just fought back. He can't afford to die back like this, but he's got no choice in the matter. Yatoro will take him down. And it only takes one bad team fight for the game to flip on its head, John. And now it has.
And they forced that Roshan MindGames after losing their Disruptor. We didn't see the early buyback from Slayer, so they didn't have that instant counter initiation with a Static Storm. And it took a lot of the bite out. Like, I think TSpirit understood, you know, got good smoke break on Miposhka running on the low ground of that river and just scouting out that way. Of course, you also have the Illuminate to play with. MindGames, they lost their lead now. 7k up for TSpirit. It's all lining up. They managed to play the stall game well. MindGames didn't have a massive lead while they were at their peak. They still have some power left, but now it's all down to execution, Mike. They've got to be able to get that same jump in from Aincrad when the BKBs fade out, or before the BKBs fly out, get a good use of that stack that's going to follow through and try to clean up.
There goes Bignum. Not so tanky anymore. By the way, John, they've got one of your favorites now. The electric, what's it called? the Overload.
It used to be called Rave.
Electric Rave
Party. Yeah. Now it's just on Overload. It's not its own spell, but I mean, it's fun. I mean, Tiny with 4 Overlord charges and additional attack speed. That seems balanced too, Mike. You know, nice little buff for Tiny. You don't have any... Your supports don't buff him all too much. But you have a Storm who can just give him that extra attack speed. Why not?
Very good to me, John. Yatoro. Take the tier 2 tower in about 3 seconds. I always wonder what it's like. We do have a replay of Roche coming in very, very soon, apparently. From our beautiful production team. Here we go. Maposhka was the one, I believe, who went for that 3-man burrow strike, if I'm correct. And there you go. There it is, Maposhka. He just set up for the fight perfectly. Like, you couldn't survive on Dino there on the CK. Just perfect setup from the Rubik.
And the buyback came true from Slayer in the end. Again, just a bit too late. Like, he couldn't get the static storm while the Sand King was alive. They didn't get that stun before the BKBs could come through, and they just got cleaned up. Like, your CK is tanky. You have a lot of output on Tiny. You have HP % damage on the Infernal Blade. Like, that durability isn't actually that much, considering all those conditions TSpirit set up. And do manage to find a lot off the back of that. Just a small, rushed play from MindGames gets punished severely, and suddenly they lose their mid-tier 2, they lose their top racks, 1 outer tower left on the tier 2 bot, which, with a Tiny, doesn't take too long to clear out, so Yatoro could just go for that. And he is working towards his Satanic next year. Really good item to pick up on the Tiny this game, more EHP coming through, lifesteal to sustain and match up against the CK. It's not going to be a great time for Dino any longer in these matchups.
Look at that double damage there, John. Oh boy, here we go. 1,000 damage per hit on Yatoro right now. Recall is there. Where are they going? Toronto, he started a fight on his own here. They have caught out the Sand King. Toronto doing it on his own. In the meantime, though, Yatoro is just taking objectives. How fast is this tier 3 tower going to go down?
Jesus.
They've got to cliff it up.
Oh, God. DD Tiny.
Yeah. Here we go again. How do you stop him? He'll pop his PKB and there goes the tier 3 tower. You know, I always wonder what it's like. Like, if you're a new viewer that doesn't know Dota that well, and you just see this pile of rocks with a Christmas tree just walking around winning every single game and just deleting objectives. I wonder what goes through the mind of those poor viewers.
I know what goes through their mind. They think this is Mobile Legends with how soft the turrets are. They're like, oh, that turret's really soft. 1, it's not a turret, it's a tower. 2, they're not supposed to be that soft. Tiny's an outlier. You could consider DP, maybe Shaman to an extent, but Tiny is definitely the very far outlier there, Mike. And yeah, he makes it look like a mobile game with how soft the objectives become. Isn't it right? Like, it does melt like it's a, you know, it's like you're playing on your phone. What can you do?
Oh, hopefully that never comes to fruition, John.
Oh, man. You know, TSpirit's just growing bigger and bigger here, Mike. They've got the refresh up on Collapse now. Double Doom ready to go. Double BKB use. Toronto Tokyo has the Hex. So instant stuns. Additional hold with a Vortex on some big targets. The condition for MindGames, again, it's just becoming tougher and tougher. It's all about execution. It's all about being able to jump in. They need that. Ags up on Slayer as well. Just having that AoE mute is one very big way to turn the tide. But again, it's a support disruptor without Philostone, so it's tough to build into that point. And TSpirit can just relax now. I mean, they had, what, a 1-2k deficit, maybe 6k at peak was when MindGames was ahead. Now it's 21k their way. And they're just free to do what they want. They will go for a smoke play here, though.
They will. They headed, though. Down through the bot lane. You know, a couple kills, John, and that could be it for the tower. Or rather, the racks. Bignum will be the one on the front lines. Yatoro, he'll make the jump in, and Bignum is gone. There's your Enchantress. Dino, he's going to make the jump in onto Yatoro. There's no Aegis up. It may not matter, though. He's got so much damage, but they will hold him down. Nice lift away from Aposhka. It'll save the day as the epicenter. No, it wasn't there. Instead, Patushra, he's the one in danger now. In the meantime, Toronto Tokyo is still going, chasing down Slayer. Never mind that, though, because they'll go back onto Aincrad. Patushra, he has brought back. It just won't matter. GG.
And they call it. All right. MindGames, I mean, they had a really good start, though, Mike. You know, you have to appreciate that strong start, how well their lanes came out, how great Aincrad had of a time in mid to the Storm. Like, it's not really a Sand King favored matchup per se. He managed to hold his own, get his farm, get his blink. He hid that blink for a long time. He had some good microplays to hide it, but then that first jump came in. You know, that first jump onto Toronto Tokyo, he didn't die. He got that heal from the Illuminate. TSpirit, again, just playing on a different level, and they just stalled the game out really well. MindGames, they had that big, like 15 to 20 minute spike where they really did feel strong. They had the map under their control. They didn't manage to force that aggression out. And yeah, they had a net worth leader, like 1 to 6k at max, not that much. Your CK was up 800 gold over Tiny. It's not really an item advantage. You don't have the biggest things to play with. You had a really good EXP advantage for a while, but they didn't push that enough in terms of like taking fights. And it's not really MindGames' fault. I think you have to appreciate how well TSpirit played. They retook control of the bot jungle. You know, they just would throw bodies forward, but it was only like Storm +2, and it's only the sports. They gave all the time in the world for Collapse and Yatoro to farm. And those were the two heroes it really needs to build up. Again, Storm is a very sacrificial hero now, Mike. Triple Null, it's not much farm. You can afford to die and let the bigger cores handle it. And for MindGames, they need to be able to hunt a little bit better, you know? Find those big targets. Punish that greed from TSpirit if they do run two greedy cores like that. And just kind of understand when you're strong and take advantage of it in a big way.
Well, with that, Jonathan, we are going to have to head off to a very short break. But right after that break, we're going to be back with Game 2's draft between TSpirit and, of course, MindGames. We'll see you all again very soon.